And when he is old, he will not depart from it. This is what the Bible tells us in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. But you see, we have to understand what that admonition is all about. Training up a child speaks of training. Now, if I ask parents in the midst of us, and specifically I am now talking to you, Pao and Ina, you train up a child requires a goal. You don't train for nothing. When you want to win the Olympic Games, you train to win the gold in the Olympic Games. The Bible says you train up a child. Then you must understand what your goal is. For us parents, I'll tell you one reality I face. We have a choice to train up our child to be godly or religious. Now what is the difference? I say we should not train up our child to be religious. Because religious has a penchant for segregating people based on what your religion is and what mine is. No, I would rather say you train up your child to be godly. Let them love God, not to be religious. One other thing you have to train up your child with is train them not to be lovable, but to be loving. How many kids do you have now? 2. Have you ever experienced it when your children are with other children, and then some parents would say to the other children, "Oh, you're so cute." Maybe just like me, you felt bad in a way. I know I felt bad because I have 5 children. When my children are with other children and somebody else says to another child, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and then ignore my child, hey, as a parent, I'm telling you, it's not as if I will say, "Ha, ha, ha, ha." In my heart, I feel so bad about it. Why? Because my children, apparently to some people, will not be as beautiful, as cute. But one thing I know is this. As parents, we should not focus on teaching our children to be loved by everyone. I would rather we teach our children to be loving to everyone. Let that be our goal. And then, take note, when you train up a child, it requires consistency. Our word must match our walk, and our walk must match our words. Because we know, and we hear this often said, your words, your actions speak so loud, I cannot hear your words. So for us to train up a child, we must make sure that our action speaks the same as what we teach. I'll tell you of a story here. There was this father who was very honest, but he was only a woodcutter. He was a woodcutter. His only living, they were poor, but his only living was to cut wood. And one day, when he was cutting wood, his axe head fell on the river. And then he started to cry because that was his only livelihood. And then an angel appeared and talked to him and said, "Why are you so sad and crying?" Then he said, "You know, I'm poor. My only livelihood is my wood cutting, and my axe head fell on the river." So what the angel did was, the angel went down to the river and showed him an axe head that is made of gold. And the angel said, "Is this your axe head?" He said, no, that is not my axe head." So the angel smiled. And then the angel went down to the river again and said, and picked up this time a silver axe head. And the angel said, "Is this your axe head?" And he said, "No, this is not my axe head." Then finally the angel on the 3rd time picked up the old axe head. And then the farmer said, "Yes, that is my axe head." Then the angel said, "Because you're very honest, I will give you even the silver axe head, and I will also give you the golden axe head." Because the father was an honest man. Years after, the same woodcutter was walking by the riverside, and this time his wife fell into the river. So now he's crying again. He said, "Oh, my wife fell into the river." And guess what? The angel appeared again. And this time the angel said, "Why are you crying?" The woodcutter said, "My wife fell into the river." The angel said, "Don't worry, I'll pick up your wife." Then the angel brought up Catherine Zeta-Jones. And then the angel said, is this your wife? And then the woodcutter said, yes! Then the angel was so angry. The angel told him, what happened to you through the years? You used to be very honest. How come you are dishonest now? And then the woodcutter said, you see, I have learned my lesson. Many years ago, when I told you the gold accent was not my accent, you showed me a silver accent. When I told you again that the silver accent was not my accent, you showed me again my real accent the third time. And then you ended up giving me the gold, the silver, and my real original accent. So, what does that have to do with you being dishonest? Then the woodcutter said, if I will say Catherine Zeta-Jones is not my wife, you will go down to the river again and you will bring up Jennifer Lopez. Then I will have to say no again. And then you will go down to the river again and then you will show me my wife. And then that's the only time I will say yes. And then you will reward me and tell me, okay, Catherine Zeta-Jones and J-Lo are now all yours. I cannot afford them. I'm only poor. It's meant to be a joke, bro. But nonetheless, why did I have to mention that? Because put it this way, our honesty, the way we walk them, is what our children will see. You train up a child not by mere words. You train up a child by the way you live. And then another thing you have to understand about fatherhood, this one is for you. There was a time I was invited to speak on what an ideal father is. I made a play with words as to what an ideal father is. Ideal father for me ended up with this. Father. What do you mean, Kuya Din? This is what I meant. In the Philippines, there was a survey made of people, of children losing their identity simply because of their fathers being absent at home. For those who do not know, we have a lot of Filipinos working in foreign lands. The fathers are missing in the Philippines. So I said, based on that survey, that if ever there is one father meant to be ideal, he should be a father that is there for his children. We must find it in every effort we can, that when a child says to a mother, Mama, where is Pa? The mother should be able to say,
There.
Pa? There. Getting it? That is why you keep hugging your daughter. Huh? Okay. Now, another thing you have to understand about training up a child is the concept between pulling and pushing. Some parents have the penchant of saying, my son, you go attend church. My son, you go worship. But they themselves do not worship. That is not the way you train up a child. You train up a child by going there yourself and pulling them behind you. And finally, training requires time. There is no substitute for time. In fact, I heard one psychologist say, what is quality time? Some people would say, oh, I'm a very busy parent, but when I go home, I sit with my child for 1 minute and I focus on him for 1 minute. Some parents are beginning to think that way, that is quality time. A psychologist said, no, not necessarily true. A father who is visible at home, even if he is just reading the newspaper, is better than a father who is disappearing 99% of the time and spends only 1 minute with the child. A father who is visible, who is there for a child, is better than someone who says 1 minute of each day, 1 minute of each week, and calls it quality time. I am not saying this. This is a study made, and I'm sharing it simply to you. One other mistake we normally make as parents is, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. But there is one thing common amongst parents. In the Philippines, bro, what is your career? Nurse, okay. If a father is nurse in the Philippines, normally he would tell, anak, I would like you to take up nursing too. In the Philippines, for some time, this has been very common. If a father is a lawyer, he wants a child to be a lawyer. If a mother is a teacher, she wants her daughter to be a teacher. Like father, like daughter. Like father, like son, like mother, like daughter. There is only one thing that people do not do in the Philippines. If the father is a pastor, they don't want their sons to be pastors. That's the only exception. But nonetheless, you must understand, you are supposed to train up a child in the way he should go. You are not supposed to train up a child in the way you want to go as parents. Your responsibility is to train up a child in the way he should go. So what does that mean for us? What it means for us is, you have to be sensitive with what God has gifted your child with. It is not always true that if you're a doctor, your child has to be a doctor. You have to know what his strengths are. You have to know what his weaknesses are. You have to understand what his personality is. And accordingly, you train up in the way he should go. In closing, I will simply say, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. Children are meant to be arrows. A hunter doesn't hang on and hold on to an arrow. An arrow is meant to be pointed and released. We as parents must grow up with that responsibility, that we are making sure that our children grow up ready to be released. Are we okay with this? Okay. So for those who are parents, I hope you're blessed by God's word. For those who still want to be parents, listen. Maybe this will apply to you later on. Okay. So now, can I call on the godparents, the ninongs and the ninangs to please join us in prayer?